Tucson, where Arizona has won a school record 44 straight non-conference games at McHale Center. The Wildcats coming off a win against a top 10 team. They look to keep it rolling as Alabama comes to town tonight. Two of the top talents in college basketball squaring off. Dave Pasch with Sean Farnham. Two of the best players at their position in college basketball, Sean, and they both happen to be freshmen.
Yeah, there's no question when you talk about Alabama, you have to start with Colin Sexton. The McDonald's All-American is playing like everybody thought he would. He's a great scorer, a very good facilitator, and one of the best attributes he has is attacking the body of the defense and getting to the free throw line. Last 4 games, averaging 10-plus free throw attempts. And then you think about DeAndre Ayton. There's question marks about Marvin Bagley, in particular the defensive end of the floor. I've got no questions about number 13, other than when is he going to land when he takes off. A 43-inch vert. That's the reason why both of these guys are considered to be top 10 prospects in next June's NBA draft.
And that's why we have a handful of NBA general managers here tonight in a sold-out McHale Center. Ayton had 13 points and 10 rebounds in the win over Texas A&M, which was ranked 7th on Tuesday night up in Phoenix. Dejon Ingram with the pass down low, and they get a good look. Dante Hall has been very good defensively, and his offensive game is getting better.
Well, just so efficient. 75% shooting from the floor on the season.
What you don't see when you look at the Arizona starting 5 is Rawle Alkins, but we will see Alkins tonight. He's been out with a broken foot. He's arguably all Pac-12 candidate. The 3 goes for Brandon Randolph. Alkins will play about 20-25 minutes tonight unless Randolph keeps making them.
And Randolph starting to really find himself offensively. 3 out of the last 4 games, 10-plus points.
He was big against A&M, hit some clutch free throws down the stretch. Bama answers with a 3. It's Riley Norris with his 5th three-pointer of the season.
And you go back to his high school numbers, absolutely ridiculously crazy. Over 3,000 points scored in high school, the all-time leading scorer in Alabama history, which is actually 8th in Alabama history, to go along with 1,700 career rebounds. He's had a good career at Alabama. You've got to cover him at the three-point line.
And look at Ayton with the face-up jumper. You just look at his body and you think this is a guy that should dominate down low. Okay. He does, but then he steps out and he can hit a jumper from 15 and beyond.
All right, you're covering the NBA all the time for ESPN. When you look at him, who pops into your mind?
Joel Embiid. Because of his size, as Sexton misses.
But he's also nimble on his feet.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very light as he runs.
And there's basketball IQ as well. As Randolph scores again, he's got 5 for the Wildcats.
Really good start to this game for both teams.
Well, Sean Miller has coached a lot of players that have gone on to the NBA, and he said Ayton could end up being the best. Hall puts it on the floor, goes right at Ristich.
And they're going to have to probably bring some help there because I think Hall's first step is a little bit too quick for Ristich.
Hall doubled his scoring average from a year ago. He's at 12 points per game. He's among the SEC leaders in rebounding and blocks also. Ristich, nice move by Ristich over the smaller Riley Norris.
I love the way that both teams right now are executing and getting what they want offensively. Neither team is getting any stops. They're not being able to force an opponent to be uncomfortable in their offensive set so far.
And Hall throws it away, not on the same page that time as Sexton.
The problem there is Hall had it with one hand. He was just trying to dump it off with one hand instead of grabbing it with 2.
And a loud ovation as Rawle Alkins checks in for the first time this season. Suffered a broken foot in the summer. Underwent surgery. It's a Jones fracture. And missed 2.5 months, but he's back tonight. Lob pass broken up. It will stay with Arizona. How important do you think Alkins is to the Wildcats' chances of going to a Final Four? I know a lot of people are saying, well, they've lost 3 games already. They're not a very good team. But without Alkins, they're not the same team.
No, because he brings a physicality to the game. He's a very good passer, but defensively, He is extremely strong. He has the ability to get on the offensive glass, get second chance points opportunities for Arizona. I think he's kind of the glue to what they want to do, and a great demonstration of that is practice points. They have a gold jersey here at Arizona. You get the practice points, you get to wear the most practice points, you wear the gold jersey. Well, DeAndre Ayton has worn it every single week until this week. 5 practices for Alkins, and he took the gold jersey away, and he takes great pride in that.
All right, think about that. Ayton, nobody could take it from him for the first couple months. And Alkins gets on the floor for the first time, and by the end of the week, he's wearing the practice jersey. Here's Sexton, and showed some power there, and also some frustration committing the foul. That was his first shot attempt of the game. First personal foul.
To me, going back to Alkins, I look at Alkins and I think the same thing of a DeAnthony Melton for USC. You know, he hasn't played yet this year for the Trojans, so how do you judge USC, who took a loss last night to Oklahoma? Well, it's tough to judge them because they're missing a key component. I think for Arizona, look, they're undefeated in the United States. They just got to avoid playing in foreign countries. With him back, this is still a top 10 team in my mind. I don't care what the record is.
Rejection, Hall on wristage, batted around, and then Ayton goes up and is fouled. And Ayton's an excellent free throw shooter. Yeah, those losses they had were in the battle for Atlantis. They lost 3 straight, including the last game of that tournament by 25 against Purdue. But they've rebounded to win 3 in a row. They were down 11 against UNLV, came back to win in overtime, and you think UNLV is a tournament team, so that's a good win for Arizona.
I think it is going to be a good win at the end of the season. You look at the Mountain West Conference, it's Nevada and UNLV at the top of the conference this year. But you mentioned losing 3 games in a row. All right, so Florida lost 3 games in a row. They lost to Duke, they lost to Florida State, and then they lost to Loyola Chicago. Now they're ranked 5th in the country. They come back today and they beat Cincinnati. So where are they? Coming out of the PK80, everyone's like, okay, Florida could be a Final Four quality team. But now all of a sudden we're jumping off that train. The overreaction to early season matchups, I think, is far too extreme. Especially when you have a young team like Arizona and a lot of new parts trying to still define roles. And even Sean Miller said he probably didn't do as good as a job as he could have defining those roles before they got to the Bahamas.
Ingram misses badly. Out of bounds it will stay with Alabama 16 to shoot. Good offensive start. Wildcats in front by 3. DeAndre Ayton showing off the jumper early on here in Tucson.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by BMW. We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine.
Well, Arizona came into the season. Everybody said this is a national championship contender. They were number 3 in the AP poll. In the preseason, they moved up to number 2 after a 3-0 start, but then fell out of the rankings after losing 3 in a row. First team since Louisville 30 years ago for that to happen. They've won 3 in a row since. Beat Texas A&M on Tuesday night, a top 10 team. A&M, one of 5 teams in the top 10 to lose this week. So, Sean, how do you judge Arizona yet? Do you say, okay, now that Raleigh Alkins is back, we can really get a feel for what kind of team this is going to be?
I think this is just the start of their season. I think this is where we start to identify who Arizona's going to end up being. And as I said, I think this is a top 10 team right now. I mean, I know what the record is, and I know they're not going to be a top 10 team in the rankings when they come out on Monday. But if you told Billy Kennedy that he lost to an unranked team this week, and it was by the name of Arizona, he would laugh at you and say, come on, who are you kidding? This is one of the best teams in college basketball. That's why Avery Johnson schedules this way. He wants to play against the best competition. When he goes out and recruits guys like Petty and Sexton, he tells them, hey, we want to play the best, and we're going to go play them on the road, and we're going to play them at home. And that's how games like this materialize. And it's great for the game, too.
It also helps that Greg Byrne is the athletic director at Alabama, and he was the AD at Arizona last year. Shot clock at 2. Sexton has to let it fly. He was practicing those shots in warm-ups from about 28 feet, but it wouldn't fall. He made plenty of them, though, in pregame. Here's Alonzo Trier. I mean, they beat A&M with him not having a great game. He was just 2 of 7 from the floor and had 7 points as Ayton hits the jumper again.
How do you stop him? What do you want to take away? That's the challenge for every coach. Or do you just You just wave your hands up in the air and say, okay, so he's going to get his, so we got to try to make somebody else, take away something else from maybe Trier or Alkins as he gets going and re-engage back into the offense.
Giddens with his back to the basket. Now Petty put Trier on his fanny, missed the jumper, rebounded by Ira Lee, another freshman for Arizona. He's out of Los Angeles. Here's Alkins finding Lee, punched out of there by Giddens. Arizona keeps though. Here's Aiden for three, too strong. He has made 5 3-pointers this year. Sexton fouled on the floor. That's the first on Arizona.
Good job. And that's where you see Colin Sexton, his awareness. He sees a seam to attack. He was trying to get to the free throw line. They called it on the floor, but he is going to aggressively attack throughout the course of the game. Defensively for Arizona, they've got to get back and match up with him and have a Sexton awareness.
They get Barcelo for the foul. Herbert Jones checks in. Ristich back in for Arizona as Ayton will get a breather here. We talked a lot about Arizona, but Alabama is another team that could easily be in the top 25. They were last week before a home loss to UCF. 3-ball goes for John Petty.
And Sean Miller's not going to be happy about that. They worked on that particular play for a good 10 minutes, talking about how Petty's coming off to get a shot, and you cannot allow him to be comfortable, and they did exactly that.
And an Alabama foul. There's a game earlier this year. Petty hit 10 threes. He's hit 16 combined in all the other games. Holiday Hoops back. We'll have a great matchup next Sunday, a week from tomorrow, as Roy Williams and North Carolina take on Tennessee. 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Rick Barnes' team, the Tennessee Volunteers, have played their way in to the top 25, and Grant Williams maybe a little bit undersized, but he makes up for it. He is as tough as they come, as well as Admiral Schofield. They got Lamont Turner starting to score some baskets. Tennessee's another one of those teams in the SEC that's had a very good non-conference. The culture and the identity of the SEC has changed, Dave. Over the last couple of years, this was a conference that everybody goes, oh, it's 1 or 2 teams. Oh, maybe get 3 into the NCAA tournament. Right now, you're looking at 7 or 8 teams potentially getting in out of the SEC. Arkansas got a huge win today over Minnesota. They absolutely thumped them. And Jalen Barford with a huge game. Florida goes ahead and knocks off Cincinnati, rebounding from those 3 consecutive losses. You look at Mississippi State. Now, they haven't played anybody, but they remain undefeated. Kentucky, Florida, Texas A&M, Alabama all playing well, and even Missouri without Michael Porter Jr. Everybody's ready to jump off that train, and yet they're playing very well. They've got Kevin Puryear. And Jonte Porter, his younger brother, I think is really going to start to find his own space and his own identity at the college game. The SEC is a good basketball conference this year. In fact, right now, 2nd in the country in RPI.
Lee missed the free throw there. Do you think Kentucky is still the odds-on favorite to win the league?
No.
Who is?
I think it's Texas A&M right now. And I know they just took a loss to the Arizona Wildcats, and that was their first loss of the season. But I think with their interior, their size, and their experience, I think some experience pays off in conference play, in particular in road games.
This is interesting here. Sexton just picked up his 2nd foul, so he's got to go to the bench. Avery Johnson Jr. will come into the game. So Sexton to the pine with no points, 0 of 3 from the floor.
A great job by Parker Jackson Cartwright to put himself in that position and absorb the contact.
Well, we asked Sean Miller at Shooter on who are you going to have on Sexton, and we thought it might be Trier to start or at some point Alkins. He said, I'm going to go with Parker, who's the smallest guy on the floor, and see how he does. Well, he did pretty well.
Well, like he said, the identity of his team, he's got to challenge his players at all times to continue to grow. And for Parker Jackson Cartwright, the challenge is this: if you're the point guard of a team that's going to be in the top 10 by the time this season comes to an end and is the favorite to win the Pac-12, you have to be able to defend the opposing point guard night in and night out.
Meanwhile, 16 fouls now on Alabama, just 1 on Arizona. That was on Avery Johnson, as an offensive foul is called on Trier as Jones hit the deck. First on Trier.
Similar call to what was called on Sexton at the opposite end as he drives in. He dips the shoulder, and the delayed reaction is what draws the attention of the Arizona fan base here. But yeah, you still saw that offhand extend out. It's a good call.
And if you're the defender, even though people may not like the flopping, you're going to do it because it draws the attention of the official. Off the window, it doesn't go for Petty. Loose ball. Smith had it, batted away, and it will stay with Alabama.
That's where Petty's got to get better, though, shot selection. That's not a good look. It's a great drive, but it's not a good look. He's drifting away from the basket. Contested layups, not a clean look.
DeAndre Ayton, by the way, back on the floor for Arizona. They get 2 7-footers out there. Petty driving on Smith. Got caught in the air. Giddens long range. They didn't need that and still had 15 seconds on the shot clock.
That wasn't a good possession overall. First of all, Petty shouldn't have left his feet if he wasn't going to shoot the ball.
Arizona with a turnover. Petty in transition. Alkins reaching in. Call for the foul. And Petty will go to the line. 3 team fouls now on U of A.
John Petty, two-time Mr. Basketball in the state of Alabama, has a ton of range and has a scorer's mentality at all time. You want him to play free, but you also have to learn time and possession. How do you want that shot to come? Is it a good quality shot? That's part of the maturing process that he's going through right now.
So you've got Petty, who's a freshman. Obviously, Sexton is a freshman. They don't have Braxton Key right now. He is out due to a knee injury, but they're expecting Key back soon. And Avery Johnson's done a really good job recruiting. And this is a team that definitely will be in contention to make the NCAA tournament for the first time in 6 years.
I fully anticipate that they will. And this is an NCAA tournament game just in a true road environment. And we don't get a lot of those in the non-conference, where you see 2 high-level teams that have high expectations coming into the year playing in December on each other's floor. Especially in an environment like this. I can tell you from playing inside the McHale Center when I was at UCLA, this was the most difficult environment to come into every single year. We got 1 win in this building in my 4 years at UCLA.
How much of that, though, is because it was UCLA? I mean, the crowd here is always good, but we've done a lot of UCLA-Arizona games, and it's ratcheted up about tenfold when the Bruins come here.
No, but, I mean, most places were when we showed up. So I only have the barometer of what it was like when I played. And, you know, Stanford was really good at that time. Mike Montgomery had the Cardinal playing extremely well. And then you look at Oregon in the old MAC court. That was a phenomenal place to play basketball. But this place was just off the charts loud. They had the guy that used to run on the floor and do the spell out. But the student section was always phenomenal. And, of course, the talent that Lute Olson had during that time was one of the best in all of the country. Very similar to what this roster looks like now when you compare this roster versus everybody's roster.
Trier with the free throws, his first points of the game. He also has 2 assists. Arizona by 3.
And I'm not just talking about guys like Bibby, Simons, and Terry. A.J. Bramlett, Eugene Eggerson.
Good finish by Giddens on a tipped pass. Alkins got his hand on. Alkins puts it on the floor and finds Jackson Cartwright in the corner, and the 3 spins home.
See, that's the smart play. Nimrod talked about it right as soon as he got in the game. He's a good passer, too. And that was just great awareness as the defense turned its attention to his drive. Parker Jackson Cartwright relocates to the corner and knocks down the 3.
Well, you had the post there. Giddens, who just scored, they do go to him again. He misses this time, and Ayton with the rebound. 4th board already for Ayton. He also has 5 points. Alkins to Ristich. 2 good passes on consecutive possessions by Alkins.
And Avery Johnson calls the timeout. McHale Center fired up not just because the offense is flowing, but they're fired up because number 1 is back out on the floor. How do you come in and improve a team? How do you come in and leave your mark? You become unselfish. You look for your teammates and you try to make them better. Alkins has done it. Dumped down underneath, the kick out to the corner, and the Cats are rolling right now, up by 6.
Arizona with a 6-point lead. Right now, as many offensive rebounds for the Wildcats as total rebounds for the Crimson Tide.
It wasn't a great November for the Pac-12, but maybe it'll be a December to remember. Washington stunning Kansas, beating the Jayhawks for the first time since 1974. And then you've got Arizona getting its signature win against Texas A&M the other night in the game that you called. And then Arizona State, unblemished, still on the season. Knocked off St. John's last night inside the Staples Center. Their guard play, Evans and Holder, really good. Justice shooting the ball. Bobby Hurley's got that team playing extremely well. They've got a test against the Jayhawks coming up.
Sean Miller in his 9th year won the Pac-12 a year ago. Added Lorenzo Romar to the staff. You mentioned Washington, Mike Hopkins, longtime Syracuse assistant, bringing the 2-3 zone to Seattle, and it was effective against Kansas the other night.
Matisse Thybulle is perfect for that 2-3 zone. I saw them at the 2K Classic in Madison Square Garden. Even though they're still working out the kinks, he does such a great job with his length up top. He's going to end up leading the Pac-12 in steals all season long.
By the way, you and I both had a chance to talk to Lorenzo today. He's very happy. He loves working for Sean Miller. Their personalities are so different, but obviously as Ayton just stuffs it through on a defender. That's a pretty good coaching staff here in Tucson.
Well, Lorenzo Romar, regardless of how things ended in Washington, he had a very successful run. And his run here will be more successful when you have guys like DeAndre Ayton. I mean, as assistant coach, you go, yeah, I taught him that. I mean, just the ability to clear out. Got away with a little bit of push on that off arm, by the way, but still able to finish.
7 straight points by Arizona. Big possession here for Alabama. Remember, Sexton's been on the bench for a while with 2 fouls. He's back out there now, though. See how aggressive he is offensively. Herbert Jones way off of the jumper, but a good look here for Johnson on the 3, and they could not get the second chance basket. Trier on the drive, got caught in the air, and got lucky there. He didn't turn it over. Wristich. I don't know if that was a shot or a pass. They're going to wave it off and say basket interference on DeAndre Ayton.
That's one of those you get caught in between. Am I shooting this or am I passing it? And the confusion didn't just confuse himself, he confused his teammate as well. That's a good call. To me, if I was on the floor, I'd throw it to number 13 and be like, hey, did you see that pass? It was so sweet, because you don't have to throw it anywhere near the basket, right, and he's going to grab it and finish it.
We were told earlier today,
I got to see it to believe it.
DeAndre Ayton, he can touch the top of the backboard. The white there, I mean, he got up that time and he barely jumped, but the white part of the top of the backboard he's actually touched before. I don't know if he can go up there and if you put a quarter up there, if he can grab it off there, but he definitely can get up there, according to several Arizona people. Wristich, and a held ball here, got tied up by Dazon Ingram. It will stay with Arizona.
I mean, if you just look at the backboard and you take a shot and you look at the top of the top of the backboard, not the top of the square, top of the backboard, and they said he took 3 steps from the 3-point line and was able to get up there and touch it.
Well, I don't know if you heard the other night, but the other guy I was broadcasting the game with as Ayton is fouled. He said, Bill Walton, he said that he thought that Ayton was the most talented big to come into college basketball since Shaq. I was talking with Avery about that this morning. Avery Johnson said, did Bill see Tim Duncan play?
Yeah, I mean, Tim Duncan, people forget. Tim Duncan might be the most overlooked player in the history of basketball because of the lack of personality. You know, like he wasn't a look at me kind of guy, and people forget how dominant he was.
But I get it. They're very different players, right? I mean, right. You look at Ayton, he's more of a Shaq type player, although he has the jumper, where Duncan wasn't as much of a power player. He was more of a finesse player. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. But again, I go back to the fact Tim Duncan just went to the College Basketball Hall of Fame this year with our very own Jay Will. And John Stockton, I mean, it was Paul Silas. It was an unbelievable class that went into the College Basketball Hall of Fame this year. And you go back and look at the freshman year numbers of Tim Duncan. They were off the charts. His efficiency, his ability to score, his rebounding numbers. Ayton's really, really good. And maybe by the end of the year, Bill Walton will convince me otherwise and allow me to get past that. But as of right now, I put him in the top 5 that I've ever covered.
Well, he's got 9 points and 5 rebounds already in this ball game. We got another Alabama foul there over the limit, so Alkin's going to be at the line. That's on Ingram. And it's been interesting since Sexton got that second foul. It coincided with Alkins coming into the game. And again, he's getting an ovation here, going to the line for the first time. Arizona's defense has been better, and obviously with Sexton not as aggressive, the offense isn't as good for Bama right now.
And this is what happens so frequently in this building. And you come in, you're playing well, you get off to a good start, and all of a sudden, 1 or 2 things don't go your way. And if they don't go your way, the Cats are going to put it on you.
First point of the season for Rawle Alkins.
Bill Walton, by the way, I was with him last night in Los Angeles. He told me to not let you get away with anything. So I'm going to be watching and listening all night long. And if you try to get away with something that you wouldn't get away with Bill, I'm going to have to call you out on it.
Surprised he even acknowledged who I was. He didn't say who.
No, he did. He said, I'm working, I said, I'm working with Dave Pasch. He goes, who? Is that the guy I normally work with? I said, yes. Yes, it is.
Petty hits a 3. They needed that. John Petty knocking down the triple. That gets Alabama with an 8. See if the Tide can weather this early storm here by Arizona. Randolph for the answer. And rebounded by Hall. Now Sexton again has to be careful with 2 fouls. Has not scored in the game. And Jackson Cartwright's done a really good job on him. Sexton, great shot off the glass.
You see how smooth he is. And again, I think he's playing a little hesitant right now because of those fouls. But how quick and how tight his handles are. When he looks to get by you, that ball is on his hip. It's not 2 inches away. It is right there.
It's amazing in that game where they were forced to go 3-on-5 because of the fights and injuries and players fouling out. He had 40 points and almost single-handedly won the game, bringing the Tide back before they lost to Minnesota late. But he had 40 in that game, 31 in the second half.
He is a tremendous talent. He's going to be so fun to watch all season long inside the SEC.
11th McDonald's All-American to go to Alabama. Jackson Cartwright, no. Look at him with the follow dunk. Child's play at the rim. .11 points and 7 rebounds for DeAndre Ayton in the first half. Hall with an easy 2. And Sean Miller not happy at all with his interior defense.
And Pender, no communication, no rotation over. Alabama able to get to the rim, but the previous possession was about the screen on the outside. Somebody might want to put a body on DeAndre Ayton and not let him run straight to the rim, because when he does, he's able to finish. Cats out in front.
Arizona leading Alabama 26-20. Dave Pasch alongside Sean Farnham. Sean, you cover the SEC every Tuesday with George Tessitore, Super Tuesday, and you've had a chance to watch the improvement under Avery Johnson. What's the biggest thing over the last 2+ years that has stood out to you about the way he coaches his group?
Well, I just think he has such a great demeanor with him. You know, I mean, he has the pulse of his team, and obviously the recruiting has really improved. So the talent level has dramatically improved. And Braxton Key, just as much as we talk about Alkins, he isn't playing for Alabama. He's going to be a key part of their hopes to compete at the very top of the SEC this year. And what Avery Johnson, I talked to him before the game, I said, what have you learned about this team? He goes, we're young, obviously, but we have a don't quit and don't complain mentality. And he goes, that's what impresses me much. You might have us down, but we're going to respond. And they've responded very well to the deficit that they had. This game could have gotten away, and now it's down to 6 points. They change up their defense, going to that 2-3 zone.
And Alkins turns it over. Fast break opportunity for Alabama. Rejection by Trier, but it's right to Norris. He couldn't hit the 3, though, and Ayton with his 8th rebound. Almost another turnover by Arizona, and it'll be Alabama ball. It was interesting talking to Avery Johnson today about why he took this job, and He said, having an opportunity to coach in the NBA and play in the NBA, was in the league for 14 years as a player, a head coach for 7 years with the Mavs and Nets. He wanted the challenge of being able to develop young men. And he saw Alabama, as Ayton is called for the foul here on Sexton. He saw Alabama as a program where you could win. And he said he had other universities reach out to him to gauge his interest, but he felt that Bama was the best fit.
Well, and here's a big reason of that. He embraces Nick Saban and the football program.
Yes.
I mean, he doesn't hide from the fact that the football program's elite. And what he will tell you is it helps him recruit. He talks about, hey, they're winning championships. Why can't we win championships?
And they have a really good working relationship, too.
And Nick often will meet with recruits when they come on campus for Avery Johnson. And when you can recruit a guy like Colin Sexton, all of a sudden it starts perking up ears and you're going, okay, wait a second. They're getting top level talent to come down to Tuscaloosa, and the whole roll tide mentality starts carrying over from the gridiron to the hardwood.
Sexton gets them both, and it is a 4-point game.
So how do you recruit top talent? Well, first of all, you have a coach that people want to play for, and Avery Johnson is that. He mentioned the NBA background not only as a player but also as a coach, the success that he had inside the association, NBA Coach of the Year. Then you schedule, you up-schedule just like they have this year, and they will continue to do, where the best players really do want to play the best talent.
Alkins three not there. Ayton had a chance to get the rebound but couldn't corral it. And again, Alabama looking to push tempo here. Petty to the rim, and it's a 2-point game. Check that, Ingram on the drive getting the basket.
And Dazon Ingram, he was the all-everything guy last year. Now he's kind of moved into a complementary role with the influx of freshman talent. I think things are going to become easier for him in conference play.
Jackson Cartwright can't bank it in. Alkins with the putback try, and Hall clears. Sexton pushing tempo, playing with 2 personal fouls. Gets past Ristich, and he'll go back to the line. He is not afraid to attack the bigs.
It shouldn't come as a surprise. Colin Sexton was not a top 100 recruit early in his high school years. He told me the story last year at the Nike Hoop Summit. His dad asked him what he wanted for Christmas, and he said, I want an alarm clock. And so his dad goes, okay, you want an alarm clock? He goes, yeah. So they go out and they get him an alarm clock for Christmas. He set the alarm clock early every single day, and he ended up averaging almost 32 points per game in the EYBL, and all of a sudden became a must recruit for every college in the country. His relationship with Avery Johnson, a big reason why the vision, the point guard play, and the ability to learn from a point guard that played in the NBA, a big part of why he wanted to come. But that alarm clock changed his life.
Well, he just changed the game. He's hit 4 straight free throws. His energy has led this 8-0 run in less than 2 minutes that has tied the game at 26. Now he's going to go to the bench now. They want to be careful again not to get that 3rd foul on him before halftime. Here's Trier for 3, and Trier ends the 8-0 run.
That's good defense, just a much better shot. And Alonzo Trier has the ability to knock down contested 3-point shots. The zone has also changed the pace of the game and put it in Alabama's favor. It was a great adjustment by Avery Johnson.
First field goal attempt of the game for Trier. Only took 7 shots the other night against Texas A&M, a game they won. Timers at 5. Open look for Norris, and he can't knock it down. Trier, great look, Ayton with the stop. That's 13 for DeAndre Ayton.
Sometimes I just love this job. When you can watch guys make plays like that in transition and finish like that.
And 5 straight points now for Arizona after the 8-0 run by Alabama. Tough shot by Ingram, but look at Hall clean it up. Dante Hall, he's a guy that has really flashed lately. Had 14 rebounds in his last game at 20 points. 2 games ago, didn't miss a shot from the floor in that game. And he's been good on both ends tonight. Got 7 boards, and he hasn't missed a field goal on offense.
Well, he came into the game with 23 dunks on the season, which accounted for just slightly less than 50% of his made field goals.
Ristich, nice turnaround. Produce on Ristich. 3.5 to go in the first half. Arizona by 5. Step back, Petty buries it. And that's the third three-pointer for Petty in the ball game. Randolph able to hit on the other end.
That poor defensive transition that time by Alabama. Nobody communicating. And Randolph says, okay, you don't want to guard me out here. I'm going to knock it down.
Johnson, no. Kept alive by Hall, but saved by Trier. Trier trying to shake the defender, finds Ayton. Ayton falling away and rebounded by Hall. Ingram puts up an air ball.
That's just the Ayton effect, to be honest with you.
Randolph fired that off the window, wouldn't go. Ristich is there, blocked by Hall. Man, what an impact Hall has had in this game. 8 points, 8 rebounds, a couple of blocks. And a blocking foul is called here on Jackson Cartwright. It looked like the right call from Steve Olson. First on Jackson Cartwright.
Well, both teams have quality bigs, and we've talked a lot about DeAndre Ayton allowing himself to be a presence underneath, off the feet in transition to finish. But don't forget about Dante Hall. The big from Alabama's got it going.
Arizona leading Alabama late in the first half by 5. Next week, we have 3 nights of doubleheaders of NBA basketball on ESPN. Starting Tuesday with Lonzo Ball and the Lakers in New York to face the Knicks, and then Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. And the 76ers taking on Jimmy Butler and the Wolves. Both games streaming live on the ESPN app.
How about the Lakers? Dazon Ingram did a nice job the other night knocking down that three-pointer against the 76ers late in that game off Alonzo Ball's drive. The Lakers picked up a nice road win.
Yeah, Brandon Ingram with that game winner as Lakers almost blew the lead in Philadelphia, ended up winning. And this guy we'll be seeing next year.
You think?
Could be the #1 pick.
Yeah.
Depending on who you ask. Some say Bagley, some say Ayton.
And don't forget about Luka Doncic.
Hall gets the first free throw. How similar are Ayton and Bagley in your mind?
I think they're different players. I mean, Marvin Bagley's really fluid at attacking from the outside. I think he has a better perimeter skill set. I think DeAndre Ayton is more of a physical presence underneath. But both of them are extremely talented. I saw Bagley at his best at the PK80. I think he had 86 points and 45 rebounds in 3 games up there against really good competition. I'd like to see DeAndre Ayton, as some would say, become more of a shot blocker. Defensively, he keeps his hands a little bit lower than he should.
He's pretty darn good on offense, though.
Yeah.
Wow, 15 points, 8 rebounds in the first half for Ayton.
And he's already shown his complete skill set. Set a screen, roll the basket, offensive rebound, the mid-range jump shot, the turn and face from 17 feet, and the back to the basket. And what I like about it, he's not predictable with his moves, Dave. You know, I mean, there's some bigs where you can get a scouting report on him and you go, okay, so 78% of the time he turns over his left shoulder because he wants to get to his right hand. DeAndre Ayton can go either direction and just carves out space and is so fluid when the ball hits his hands.
Second foul on Randolph, 8th team foul to be a 1-and-1. Well, you've got Danny Ainge here. Ainge was at the game on Tuesday. Up in Phoenix. Ryan McDonough, the Suns GM, is here. Lawrence Frank from the Clippers is here. So you got 3 of the decision makers in the NBA and many other scouts here tonight. And Ingram able to get the front end of the 1-and-1. Coming up on the Land Rover halftime report, another upset in the top 10. In fact, the #1 team in the country, Duke, going down. Other scores from today coming up.
Well, here's where Alabama's been staying in the game. They're 8 of 9 from the free throw line so far. And manufacturing points when you're on the road, a very important part of trying to find any success.
I've got to think, and if they can keep it here to between 4 and 7 points at worst, The fact that Colin Sexton didn't play much in the first half with foul trouble, you got to feel okay about it if you're Avery Johnson, although Smith commits a silly foul. They're putting 8 in the line.
You know, you talk about DeAndre Ayton and his numbers. This is the year of the bigs in college basketball. And one of them played against Ayton last week at UNLV. And Brandon McCoy is the real deal. 33 points, 10 rebounds in the matchup, the head-to-head matchup against Ayton. And just such a talented player for Marvin Menzies. Dealt with some knee injuries coming out of high school, and you'll get a chance to see him after our game tonight. It's Illinois at UNLV at the MGM Garden Arena, an off-campus game that they play every single year on the Strip. And you get a chance to see another great big that probably will be in the NBA next year as well.
Ayton struggling a little bit at the line tonight. That's not usual. He shoots in the mid-70s percentage-wise. And Sexton is back out there, again playing with 2 personal fouls. But it's hard for him not to attack. That's his game. He couldn't get that one. Ristich with good D. And an open look for Randolph. The 3 not there. Cleared by Petty. Good find in the corner. Ingram for 3.
That was outstanding decision-making process. I talked about Petty earlier and some of the rush shots, off-balance looks. That time he actually turned down handing off the ball to Sexton, got to a great place on the floor, and found Ingram in the opposite corner.
Arizona's lead is 1. Here's Ayton from outside. Can't get that one. Long rebound. Ingram.
I'd pull it back out and get the last shot here if I'm Alabama. You give yourself an opportunity to go to the break. At worst case scenario, you're down 1. Best case scenario, you're going to end up having the lead.
And this is a good guy to give it to give you the lead. Freshman Colin Sexton, 21 points per game, leading the SEC. 3 seconds to go. Sexton, little airspace. Banks in the 3 at the buzzer.
So all the talk in the first half about how great Arizona was doing. They had the lead. It got into double digits. Colin Sexton's on the bench with 2. And yet the young freshman played with a maturity of not picking up another foul and instead gives them the bank shot and the lead to the break.
A 7-0 run by Alabama over the last minute and a half. Arizona at one point was up 11. But Colin Sexton banks in a 3 at the gun to give the Tide a 2-point lead. After this break, Kevin Connors will have the Land Rover halftime report. Alabama with a 2-point lead at halftime on a Colin Sexton 3-pointer at the buzzer. As the Tide look to pull the upset here in Tucson. Dave Pash for Sean Farnham, but it was the other freshman that stole the show, DeAndre Ayton, who showed us a wide array of skills. Let's put it that way.
It's just hard to figure out how you stop a player like DeAndre Ayton because he's so smooth, whether it be from the mid-range game. And he showed that multiple times in the first half. After he hits the jump shot, he can step out, set a screen, roll to the rim, get an offensive rebound, and put that one back in. And then, of course, he's got the strength and the ability to finish underneath and has great hands. Very rarely do you see him drop a ball, and he's just so good at elevating through. Colin Sexton, his numbers aren't going to jump off the page. What he did best was he was smart. He didn't pick up his 3rd foul. He played with 2 for a majority of the half, still got to the free throw line 4 times, and banked in the 3-pointer to give him the lead going to the break.
15 and 9 for Ayton, including 3 offensive rebounds. Sexton played just 13 minutes because of foul trouble and had 9 points.
Well, and you see why both these guys are projected to be top 10 picks in the NBA draft. And they do it very differently, obviously, very different positions, but the way that they played, some of the maturity that you saw from both of them in the first half.
And Sexton fouled by Jackson Cartwright. The other guy that played great, that's 2 on Jackson Cartwright, for Alabama in the first half was Dante Hall. 10 points, 8 rebounds. Officially listed as 1 block, but we counted 3 for Hall.
They can go back and try to change that after the game is over as Colin Sexton goes to the free throw line. I'll tell you who entered the witness protection program in the first half, and we don't have any idea where he's at really. Alonzo Trier. Only 1 shot attempt in 17 minutes. That is far too few. I mean, he has got to get going offensively and put his thumbprint down on this game.
I mean, he had 7 shot attempts the other night, but they won the game. When they beat UNLV, he scored 29 points, 8 in overtime. He took every shot in that game. Raleigh Alkins came off the bench playing for the first time this season, and he played 9 minutes, had 2 assists and 1 point.
But his time out on the floor, and we both talked about this during halftime, it was also when Sexton was out of the game. But that's when Arizona made its run and extended out its lead into double digits.
So we'll see how quickly they pull Randolph and put Alkins in, although Randolph made some good things happen in the first half, had 8 points, couple of threes. Sexton trying to get around Ayton, and a wide open 3, and Norris still unable to knock him down. He hit one to start the game. Here's Trier, get the defender off his feet and puts it in.
Yeah, good stop, little shot fake. Watch the defensive player glide on by and then elevate up and finish in the middle of the paint.
Trier comes into this week in the top 10 in scoring nationally at 22 points per game. Here's Hall, who had some success attacking Ristich one-on-one in the first half, and he does it again here.
Really impressed with his continued growth at Alabama. I mean, these are not shots. That last move, he couldn't do that a year ago. Not at least comfortably and consistently. This year he is.
And also his improvement at the free throw line. He went from shooting in the low 40s to the high 60s. He gets a steal here. His second steal, he takes it the length of the floor and lays it in to give Alabama a 6-point lead.
That is a big man stream right there. Get a steal at one end and go coast to coast, finishing up over the top of all the guards.
And Trier bumped by Dazon Ingram. Second on Ingram, first on Alabama in the half.
And, you know, bigs always want to be guards. You know that, right? And guards always kind of want to be bigs and be able to finish and dunk. Look at the fluidity of this move. Just so graceful as he came to the basket.
Well, you know, we're both saying in between play that we thought both these teams were tournament teams, as Ayton shows you an even deeper range, his 6 3-pointer on the season. There's talent on the low block for both teams and on the perimeter for both teams.
Look at that. Look at the way he split this defense. What a beautiful move by Colin Sexton. Read the defense perfectly.
That's 13 now for him. Here's Trier going to one-on-one. Great move by Trier, blocked by Hall. A foul is called as Norris tried to draw the charge. 2 on him.
Now, as we mentioned, bigs want to be guards. DeAndre Ayton has the ability to step out from the perimeter. You give him space, got a nice release, shoots it very well with nobody in his face. And then Colin Sexton, watch the hard show by Ayton. He sees the space, that seam, that gap, and just aggressively attacks it, able to finish. He did hit his knee, though, against the base of the backboard. He's been walking it off ever since.
Well, in his last game, he only played 17 minutes because of an eye injury. So he's had a couple of games this year he's had to fight through injury. Holiday Hoops back. Great matchup next Sunday with North Carolina, Tennessee scoring off at 3 Eastern time. That's a week from tomorrow on ESPN. Also streaming live at the ESPN app.
And Carolina, you know, has got off to a good start this season, yet a lot of people don't talk about them. You know, the way that you think a defending national championship should be discussed because of all that they lost a year ago. What they didn't lose was Joel Berry, and he's one of the best guards in college basketball. Luke May also having a great start to the year, and Colin Sexton, you see him playing free this half.
NBA range 3. He's come alive. He's got 16 points now. Back to a 6-point lead. Got another Alabama foul. That's the 3rd on Sexton. So how do you handle this if you're Avery Johnson?
You leave him in.
You do?
Yeah, you leave him in. I mean, he showed the maturity to handle the situation in the first half with 2 fouls. Here you are in the early stage of the second half. You can let him play through here. And those they switched him, they put him on Randolph instead of Parker Jackson Cartwright.
There have been a lot of fouls called this game. It's been officiated well. I mean, that's what they're supposed to do when there's contact. call the first foul. Hayden missing. Look at Sexton racing by the defender. He missed the jam, though. Alkins has the ball. They got a 5-on-1. Alkins takes it himself and gets his first field goal of the game. The Tide come right back. Missed three, but Hall is there. Goes right at Ayton. Went for the dunk, and he missed it. Lob to Ayton. Got caught underneath the hoop. And finds the open man. Randolph with the J.
Be quick, but don't hurry. The old John Wooden saying the last two possessions looked like it was going to be a sensational play for Sexton. He missed the dunk. The last possession for Alabama just way too fast and out of control. And the Wildcats have made them pay both times.
Stripped by Jackson Cartwright. And Trier is fouled by Petty. That's 4 fouls already on Alabama in the first 4 minutes of the second half.
Alabama got off to a great start in the second half, but the last 3 possessions have been all about the Arizona Wildcats. What was a 6-point deficit is now down to 2, in large part turning defense into offense.
Well, a lot going on in the sports world today. Obviously, the biggest news comes in Major League Baseball, with Stanton going to the Yankees from winning the National League MVP award. And Baker Mayfield, no surprise, wins the Heisman. Spurs hope to get Kawhi back on Tuesday against Dallas.
Does it surprise you at all? Baker Mayfield can predict where the home run balls are going to go. They're going to be very active next season when the Yankees come to town.
Here, Alabama leads by 2. Colin Sexton has been brilliant. He's got 14 points over the last 7 minutes. And he's still on the floor with 3 personal fouls. Ristich with a quick turnaround. And the backside rebound for Giddens, but he turns it over, throwing it to Alkins. Finds a cutting Randolph. Hangs but can't finish. And then a silly foul committed by Alkins, his 3rd, the 2nd on Arizona.
Alabama needs to calm down right now. They need to pace themselves. Even when you get a stop defensively, you turn it right back over. It could have been disastrous for them once again, but it starts with their point guard. And this is where Colin Sexton needs to be a little bit more patient, work the offense, work this possession, and try to make sure you get a good quality look.
Now the shot clock is inside 10. Here's Ingram. Get it back to Sexton to go one-on-one. Now he's double teamed. Sexton gets by everybody. Stripped by Jackson Cartwright. Going to stay with Alabama 1 second on the shot clock.
We'll see how quick and easy Sexton can get to the hoop. Now this becomes a little bit more of a problem. I think you got to get a catch and shoot. In this situation, you put Riley Norris in, maybe try to see if you can get him going offensively, pop him out to the 3-point line. Very disorganized on this out of bounds underneath.
The lob to Giddens, perfectly executed, and they get the basket.
They were really disorganized. Avery Johnson was trying to get guys into position as the ball was being handed in.
You talked about the explosion of Colin Sexton. I would say, and I don't know how much you watched of Markelle Fultz last year, but I think Sexton is more explosive than Fultz.
He has a different gear, and when he wants to get somewhere, what he does really well with it too is the change of pace. See, a lot of young players, they just want to play fast, and that's not what Colin Sexton does. Here's the out of bounds play at the other end of the floor. Good screen, good finish over the top by Giddens as the shot clock was expiring. But going back to your point about Colin Sexton, what makes him so explosive is his ability to go from 10 to 0 to 10. He can stop and get to max speed in 1 step, and that is unique.
Was talking with Avery Johnson about, okay, who that you played with or against or coached against does Sexton remind you of? He threw out 3 names: Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard and Kevin Johnson. And his point was, it was not just their scoring ability, but just how competitive they were, but also that ability to change gears and make plays with the dribble.
Well, and again, how tight his dribble is to him at all times. I mean, very rarely do you see it extended away from his body.
2-point game, 6 minutes gone by here in the second half. Here's Sexton with Jackson Cartwright defending him for most of the game so far. Ayton goes for the block. A beautiful finish by Daniel Giddens.
The transfer from Ohio State, a former top 100 recruit coming out of high school, trying to start anew and get a new page turned on his career at Alabama.
Trier, no whistle there. Got called for an offensive foul in the first half. Didn't appear to extend that time. Ayton underneath. Great pass by Trier. And Ira Lee shaken up, so an official stoppage here. Lee's okay. Or at least he's going to stay on the floor. He didn't look okay.
We'll see if he's okay. I'll tell you what, I would put him in a ball screen situation real quick with Colin Sexton attacking him right now. Instead, Norris is going to run to the corner.
And I got a foul on the drive. That is the third team foul on Arizona in the half. Second personal foul on Jackson Cartwright. Well, after this game tonight, both teams get a little bit of a break in time before their next game. Arizona plays next Saturday at New Mexico. Alabama's got 10 days off before playing Mercer. Traveling is called on Herbert Jones.
Well, again, for Alabama, if they were able to hold on and win this game, and there's a long, long way to go. But if you could win a game on the road against Arizona inside this building without Braxton Key, what does that do for your confidence with conference play right around the corner? And they open conference play, by the way, against Texas A&M.
Hawkins up top, can't get the three. And it's rebounded by Petty. Alabama shooting 60% from the floor here in the second half. Has a 2-point lead. Sexton's three is there. 17. Make that 19 for Sexton.
He just lulls you to sleep. A little bounce in the dribble and then quickly into the shot. That is a big-time play by one of the best freshman in all of college basketball. Colin Sexton showing out here in the second half. A 5-point lead for Alabama. On the road here in Tucson, Arizona, up by 5 in the second half, and this really started at the end of the first. You think about it, Alabama led for a total of 47 seconds in the first half. Here's 1.6 of them. Colin Sexton with the big shot, and saddled with early foul trouble. He was able to play through it, and then in the second half, you see his aggressiveness. Already 10 points in the first 7 minutes and 32 seconds of the second half, and Alabama has played and regained some of that composure that they lost. And you take a look at the numbers from the first half to the second half, just how much more efficient Colin Sexton has been.
So in the last 7 minutes and 33 seconds, he has 13 points.
Yes.
Hit that three right at the end of the half there and has not looked back.
You know, you are so smart. I mean, that's why I love working with you. I mean, I knew how smart you were, but I mean, it's stuff like that you just don't get from other guys that I work with.
It was the Syracuse math. Had to add that second. Trier comes back with a three. Alonzo Trier, you said it earlier, they need more from him offensively. Has not been looking for a shot. That's a big triple out of the timeout, though. I thought it was nice that my broadcast partner knows my name. Now you're also giving me compliments.
I'm spoiling you tonight. I got phone calls today from Bristol saying, please take care of Dave.
I know what's coming over the next 3 months. I appreciate it. Good backdoor cut by Jackson Cartwright to the corner, and the three ball from Brandon Randolph.
That's beautiful offense that time by the Cats.
And Arizona is back in front. Consecutive 3-point baskets, but the lead evaporates on a Giddens slam dunk. Great pass by Petty.
Rotation's just not good. They have not been sharp on that on-ball screenplay all evening long.
And Randolph, freshman from Yonkers, New York, hit some big shots against A&M on Tuesday. And he's doing it again tonight, knowing that his minutes might get cut a little bit with the return of Alkins, but he's earning some time on the floor as a foul is called on Alabama, the 16th foul. They get Herbert Jones for the personal, his second.
Well, Arizona comes out of the last time out, a 3 by Trier, and then on the very next possession, this is beautiful offense, attacking and driving to the baseline, kicking into the corner for the 3, but Alabama has the answer on the on-ball screen defense, able to finish at the iron. 1-point lead.
One of the reasons Alabama has the lead, Arizona's interior defense struggling, giving up 24 paint points, 10 here in the second half. But overall, Sean, you just look at the execution offensively by both teams, and it doesn't feel like a mid-December non-conference game with both teams having a long break for finals coming up.
Well, that and the fact that you've got such a great crowd on hand, too. I mean, the building is packed. There's a buzz because of Ayton and Sexton from the NBA executives and scouts that are in attendance tonight. And then to watch them both come out and just execute so well. And both these teams have 12 assists on 21 made field goals. They're both shooting in the high 40s, almost at 50% for both of them. And a quick foul away from the ball.
And that's the 17th foul, so Arizona's going to shoot free throws for the remainder of the half. I know a lot of fans watch it and they don't like that, but the officials are doing what they're told. And we have an excellent crew here tonight. Randy McCall, Steve Olson, and John Higgins. This is the first time that you and I both have seen John this year. He's one of the best officials in college basketball, has been for a long time. Unfortunately, a lot of the Kentucky fans and some members of the media in Lexington handled what took place last year very poorly, to say the least. And it led to death threats, thousands of phone calls to his home and business that resulted in a lawsuit filed against a broadcast group in Kentucky that is still ongoing. But you ask anybody associated with the game, coaches, broadcasters, players, there's deep respect for John Higgins as an official.
8 Final Fours. You get graded in the NCAA tournament round by round, and you don't move on if you're not doing a good job. And 8 Final Fours kind of speak to itself. If you're a basketball coach and you get to 8 Final Fours, that's pretty good. You're official, you get there, equally as impressive.
They got Randolph with a foul, miss inside by Ingram. Ayton with his first rebound of the half. He's got 10 boards now. And another Alabama foul. And more free throws coming up. That's 4 on Giddens.
He still has his hands up. You can put them down. They're not going to change the call.
You know, the other thing about John that I've always appreciated as an official is he's very easy to talk to for the coaches. I mean, there's some guys, they turn their back on the officials, or they don't give them the time of day, or they're quick with a technical, but he's very calm and very easy to communicate with for coaches.
Well, and he's going to the monitor right now because after that rebound by Ayton, and I think when he came down, I think there was some contact with Colin Sexton underneath the basket, so they're just going to take a quick look at it. Hopefully it's quick and make a determination if they need to add anything else. I don't think that I saw anything that would indicate that it was not a normal, natural basketball play by DeAndre Ayton.
Didn't appear to be a flagrant when we saw it live.
No, when you're 7'1" and 250 pounds and you leave your feet to go rebound, and underneath you stands Colin Sexton, who's generously
clearly inadvertent there. I mean, Sexton's a foot shorter and Ayton's coming down with the ball, although it'd be interesting to see how they rule this.
That's like a WWE type move right there.
We saw Draymond Green do that several times, and there was debate as to whether it was intentional or not. Now, there was some history there with Draymond too that led to some strong opinions. There isn't with DeAndre Ayton, so how will that influence the officials? This is not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
No, I mean, because the extension of the leg right there out, is that a natural basketball rebounding motion?
And John Higgins is right there looking at it.
And this is going to turn into a longer discussion than I think anybody in this building wants to have.
Originally, I thought it was innocuous. I think looking at it there, it may not have been inadvertent, or it may not have been intentional, but I think it was flagrant. Because you're not necessarily judging intent on that. Is that a basketball play?
No, it's not.
So it's a flagrant then.
It's also not a natural motion. I mean, you don't see guys swinging their legs out on rebounds on a consistent basis.
The officials are still discussing it.
And they're just going to play on.
Yeah, they're going to say common.
I'm okay with that. You know,
No
sometimes
foul.
we want to overanalyze everything and we want to put it under a microscope and say, okay, so what happened here? Okay, is that natural? Is not unnatural? Good that you looked at it. Make a quick decision on it. Maybe not all that quick, but make a decision on it and let's play on.
I could have understood either way. If they would have said that that's a flagrant, Sean Miller would have been upset that maybe if he would have looked back at the tape, he could have understood where they would have come up with that decision. But Trier is at the line because of the Alabama foul. It's 2 shots for Trier. He's 6 of 6, now 7 of 7 at the line. I think this arena is the quietest of any in college basketball when their team is at the line. You notice that no one says anything.
You know, sometimes I'm talking to you and I feel like, should I be quiet as well? I mean, if I said something too loud, is Alonzo Trier going to look over and be like, I'm trying to concentrate on my free throw, Sean. Would you please be quiet?
And you hear a couple people there at the end from the zone of Zoo. Ayton with the offensive rebound and the slam.
So after not having a rebound for a better part of 8 minutes, he's now grabbed 2 in the last 2 shots that have gone up. That one he throws down, and it's a 2-point lead for Arizona.
22 and 11 for Ayton. Sexton playing with 3 fouls. Riley Norris into the paint, hands for Sexton, and he's fouled by Lee. 15 foul on Arizona.
DeAndre Ayton at the free throw line. You got to put a body on him. It's easier said than done. Just so strong. The longer rebound, gathers himself and able to finish. I mean, it's amazing when you see him in person at 7'1", 250 pounds.
When is the last guy that came into college basketball that looked the way he did?
Trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, you know,
because you covered MB to Kansas, you said that they
no, he didn't look like him physique-wise. I mean, the body wasn't there yet. You know, Brennan Huffman's really big, the freshman from North Carolina. He's got great size. You and I both saw him against Stanford, but it's not cut and as lean as Ayton is.
Along with the fact that he's so skilled and he's got incredible feet. Here's Trier for 3. Heating up in the second half. Alonzo Trier. That was an excellent pass by Jackson Cartwright.
Good offense. You run Ayton to the rim. The defense has to pay attention. Trier sneaks out, able to knock down the shot.
18 points now for Alonzo Trier. 13 in the second half. And most of those coming in the last 5 minutes. Offensive foul in the screen by Hall.
And Colin Sexton, I always say this, when you get a moving screen like that, it's on the guard. Sexton went too early. He should have allowed his screener to get set prior to looking to attack off of him. An example of it, see the screener is still moving and Sexton was already into step 2.
And they're going to call Lee now for the foul on the screen. Well, if you're Sexton too, it's got to be tough when you know you can get by your man and you see maybe you have a little bit of a window to get by your guy. Are you going to hesitate and wait for that screen to get set?
I think he can, and the reason why he should is because he's proven that he reads those situations so well, and he can get by his guy almost anytime he wants.
Catch and shoot from the corner is good from Petty. He takes some wild shots, but they're falling tonight. That's 4 3-pointers. Ties the game. Alkins spinning in the lane. Tough shot for Rawley Alkins, playing his first game of the season. They missed him. Just another offensive weapon that they haven't had through the first 9 games. And another foul on Lee.
His feet were inside the halo underneath, and that's why it's called against him, and they'll send Ingram to the free throw line. And you go back to Sexton and talking about his ability to get to the rim or his timing. To me, like last year, De'Aaron Fox at Kentucky, he was as elite as any guard in the country of being able to get to his spot on the floor when he wanted to at any point in time during the course of a possession. Colin Sexton has that kind of ability and speed to get there. And you look at Dazon Ingram. He was kind of the changeover, the holdover from Anthony Grant's era into the Avery Johnson era, and 2 20-point games already on the season. Had a double-double, 10 points and 14 rebounds. He's a guy, as the season continues to go along, his experience will pay off in SEC conference play.
8.5 to go. We got a tie game again at 67. Trier has had the hot hand in the second half for Arizona. Nice touch pass, and Lee with the finish. Both teams shooting better than 60% from the floor in the second half. Ingram penetrates. And then a foul is called on Ingram. And that means Alkins will go to the line.
He dove into Alkins rather than diving for the ball. And a very good call that time.
19 fouls, so it'll be a 1-and-1 for Alkins on the other end.
This is a high-level basketball game right now.
These are 2 really good teams. Neither team is ranked at this point, but again, so hard to judge right now who belongs in the top 25 and who doesn't. Arizona was number 2 at one point. And they fall out of the rankings after losing 3 in a row. Alabama got to number 24, then they lose at home, a game they shouldn't lose to UCF. But then this week, you have 5 teams in the top 10 that lose, but there are 6 total losses by those 5 teams.
And all of them were to unranked opponents. And I look at Alabama this week, beating Rhode Island, who's going to be an NCAA tournament team as well. Danny Hurley's team playing really well, even without E.C. Matthews. And we're going to take the timeout here.
Media timeout, 8 minutes remaining. Arizona with a 2-point lead at home.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Campbell's Chunky Max Soup. We'll fill in while you fill up.
Whatever. Who cares?
69-67, Arizona in front of Alabama. Terrific second half offensively by both teams. Arizona shooting 65%, Alabama 56%, and the Wildcats with a 2-point lead.
I really like what I've seen out of Alonzo Trier here in the second half, though. Much more aggressive than he was in the first half. Only 1 shot attempt in the first half. He's got 4 here in the second half, but he's also gotten the free throw line a couple of times. He's got up to 18 points and 5 assists for Alonzo Trier.
Arizona normally one of the better free throw shooting teams in the country. 11 of 20 so far in this game. Alabama, which has struggled shooting at the line this season, 14 of 16. Alabama rather came in shooting 63% on the year. Now they get to the line a lot, they just don't make it. And Alkins gets that one. And the lead is 3 again for the Wildcats.
I think part of it is that they haven't gotten to a line enough here in the second half. They're 6 for 6 from the free throw line is Alabama. Close to an illegal screen by Hall again.
Giddens over Ayton. Tough shot. It won't fall. Ayton with his 12th rebound to go with 22 points. Excellent defense by Sexton. And a foul is called on Alkins of Arizona. That's his 4th. And that's the 18th foul on the Wildcats. So Alabama will have a 1-and-1.
And you put Colin Sexton back at the free throw line, where he is a perfect 8 for 8 on the game. We mentioned right off the top of the broadcast tonight, we said Colin Sexton, one of the best attributes he has, besides just being a scorer, is facilitating the offense and manufacturing points by getting to the free throw line.
Sexton calmly knocks down the first one. He's got 22 points. Season average of 21. Had that 40-point game against Minnesota. How about that game? They were left with 3 players. The second time that's ever happened. There were 7 players ejected during an altercation with about 14 minutes left. Then another player fouled out, followed by an injury. So for the last 10 minutes and 41 seconds of that game, Alabama had 3 players and almost came back to win the game.
And Sexton, by the way, 5th game this season out of 10 that he's attempted 10 or more free throws.
Turnover by Arizona. I think it's another reason why Avery Johnson was comparing him to the guys we mentioned earlier, Kevin Johnson, Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving, their ability to get to the foul line.
He's got a fearlessness when he leaves his feet. Even on the missed dunk, I mean, he doesn't matter. He just doesn't care. Plays free.
Petty way off on that attempt. Avery Johnson saying he thought there was a foul, but no call there, and it's Arizona ball. Entry pass to Ristich. And Ristich goes up and puts it in off the glass. It's rare this half we've had anybody with a 2-possession lead, but Arizona's got it right now. And a timeout called by Alabama.
And Avery Johnson wants to talk it over and make sure they get a better quality shot than they did on the last possession.
Arizona in front of Alabama by 4. Ayton has been a star. 22 points, 13 rebounds. Sexton has been great. 22 points. Hall has 14, 9, and a couple blocks. Terrific December basketball right now.
And this has been the storyline all college basketball season as far as I'm concerned. Great high-level game. It started the Champions Classic, as it always does. Went to the PK 80, and then coming out of that, you had the ACC Big Ten Challenge. And a lot of marquee games to get excited about. This is one of them.
They got Trier now on Colin Sexton. Jackson Cartwright has covered him for a good part of the ball game. Ingram driving on Ristich. Almost threw it away. Now Sexton leans in. And Ayton tracks it down. Trier with the blow by and missed the layup. It'll go to the line.
What I loved about Alonzo Trier right there is when he caught the ball, did you see how calm he was? Settled he was as the ball hit his hands. He thought about the shot, and as he looked at the rim, he saw the defender coming up and elevating out of his stance. So as soon as you see him elevate out of his stance, and it's Riley Norris, who you know you're more athletic than, it's a blow by and attack.
And enough contact by Ingram for a foul to be called, his 4th.
I want to go back to something you said earlier, how quiet this building is. Let's just let them listen to how quiet it gets here on this free throw. That's actually one of the louder ones we've had all night long.
Although you actually, if you listen closely, you could actually hear Sean Miller. You could actually hear him. He's directly across from where we were sitting. I heard him clearly because it was so quiet. 6-point lead for Arizona inside 6 minutes to go. And a foul called on Randolph. That's 4 on him, 4 on Alkins, and 19 fouls. So the last 1 and 1 for Alabama, and then they'll be in the double bonus the rest of the way. At least it's being called consistently. Again, I know it may interrupt play, but at least all 3 officials are on the same page in terms of how they're calling the game tonight.
Well, again, that's the only thing I ever ask for in a game. As a player, the most difficult thing is when the game gets called inconsistently. If there's a play that's going to be called a foul in the first minute, it's got to be called a foul in the last minute of the game. If you call the last minute and you let it go the entire game, then that's poor as well. As long as you as a crew are together and set the tone and let the players know how the game's going to be officiated, it's up to the players to always make that adjustment.
Ingram gets him both, and again, Alabama, not normally a good free throw shooting team, but money tonight. Only 1 miss in the second half, and they're back within 4. It's the first time these two teams have met since 1990. In fact, it's the 3rd meeting all time. The other 2 were in the NCAA tournament. Another foul is called.
And Jones holding Trier as he's going across the lane away from the ball, like a defensive back reaching and grabbing for a wide receiver.
So that's 3 on Jones, and Trier will go back to the line. 9 of 10 tonight. Alonzo Trier at the strike. So 2 players with 20 points for Arizona, including Trier. A week from tomorrow, good college basketball game for you on a Sunday afternoon at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on ESPN. In Knoxville, it's Tennessee and North Carolina.
That's going to be a great matchup between 2 teams in the top 25 as well. But, you know, you mentioned the 2 guys with 20. It's Trier and Ayton, obviously for Arizona, as it should be. And that's one of the things that Sean Miller talked about coming back from the Bahamas. What did they learn? It's not equal opportunity offense. You got to play through your best players, and it's 35 and 13.
Look at Sexton get to the rim. They're going to say foul on the floor, but at this point it doesn't matter. It's the 10th team foul, so it's 2 free throws for Sexton. And that's on Trier, 2 on him.
That was a big part of growth for Arizona coming out of the Bahamas. And Sean Miller said, you know, shot selection is always key, especially in big moments of the game. Who do you want shooting the ball in the big moments? And for Arizona, regardless of what time of the game it is, if you're trying to stop a run, you're looking at 13 and 35.
And obviously nobody wants to lose 3 games in a row and get beat by 30, but Sean did say, look, there's going to be some positives that come out of this. This isn't the worst thing for some of our freshmen who saw that they're ranked number 2 and maybe they think, okay, I'm great, I'm going to the league next year. Sometimes those things that happen early in the season, especially for the young players, it's eye-opening. You realize you got to bring it every night, even against teams where you might not know where the school is located. They played a couple big-name schools in that tournament, though. Purdue, which has played really well since that win. Purdue's beaten some good teams since, including Maryland Northwestern. Missed 3. Ayton trying to save it. It'll go to Alabama.
If you're Alabama right now, you just want to get more stops. You string together stops. With as efficient as your offense has been, if you can get 4 stops in a row, you're probably going to have the lead. That's how well they've shot the ball here, in particular in the second half. Down to 47% though after a couple of rushed possessions. Get to the free throw line. They're 11 of 12. I'd look to continue to attack if you're Colin Sexton.
Rawley Alkins back on the floor. They said he played about 24 minutes. He's played 17 so far. We'll see if he's out there for the last 5. Sexton missing, but there's the offensive rebound by Dante Hall. Hall misses. Ristich with the rebound. Ahead to Trier, again attacking, finding Alkins. A wide open look in the corner, way off. Sexton, great play against Jackson Cartwright. How did he get around him?
Just so smooth, a little side Euro step as Jackson Cartwright was setting up for the charge. Even at high speeds, Colin Sexton makes the right move. makes the right read, and he does it quick.
26 points, Sean, on 14 shots in 28 minutes. Again, spent a good time in the first half on the bench with 2 fouls. Alkins driving. That pass broken up by Ingram. Ingram takes it the length of the floor, and Alkins swats it away. Arizona with a 3-on-2. Great play by Sexton to strip it. It'll stay with Arizona, but Sexton able to keep Arizona from getting an easy basket. Great hands. 2-point game with 3:58 to go.
Colin Sexton, one of the elite freshman guards in the country. You talk about Trae Young at Oklahoma, but you got to take notice to number 2 for the Crimson Tide.
And dubbed the year of the big, especially the year of the young big, but there's some pretty good guards that I know you've watched in the last 24 hours, including tonight, obviously.
Yeah, you know, we talked about it. I mentioned his name going to break. Trae Young at Oklahoma right now. It's not if he's going to win an award, it's what award he will win from the Big 12 every single week. In fact, he's been named either Player of the Week or Newcomer of the Week. Leads the nation in scoring, is 3rd in the nation in assists. He's all everything for Lon Kruger this year and the Sooners. Colin Sexton is a different type of guard. He's a shooting guard slash a point guard hybrid that mixes together and does such a great job of having such great court awareness and a maturity level. His impact and his value for Alabama is equal to that of Trae Young at Oklahoma. If you take those 2 players off these teams, I think each one of them, their season will look distinctly different.
2-point game. Arizona 76, Alabama 74. Trier has been brilliant here in the second half with 17 points since intermission, 22 for the game. Ristic with the spin, can't get the finish though, and Hall with another rebound. That's his 11th to go with 14 points. Sexton with 26 points on the night. He's got Trier on him.
It's back-to-back double-doubles for Hall. He had 13-14 versus Rhode Island.
For those of you waiting to watch UNLV in Illinois, that game coming up next on ESPN2. It will start in ESPN News as Sexton draws a foul. Will go to the line for 2. Trier picking up his 3rd foul. And Sexton 11 of 12 at the line tonight. Now a little discrepancy here whether it's 3 or 4 on Trier. It is 4 on Trier. Actually, things were going better when it was Jackson Cartwright on him.
Well, here's the thing about Sexton, too, that tells you about the makeup. Nike Hoop Summit last year, he was coached by Miles Simon, who is our former colleague, is now coaching in the NBA with the Los Angeles Lakers. After every single practice, everybody was kind of getting out of the gym quick, wanting to get back to the hotel. Colin Sexton kept working on his game. And it stood out. And over the 4 days that I was up there watching, I left there, and there's Michael Porter, there's all the kids from Kentucky, all the kids from Duke. I mean, the best high school players in the country. And Colin Sexton was the guy that as I left Portland, I was going, you know what? He is special. And he's proven it again tonight.
Well, he's clutch. He's 13 of 14 at the line. Remember, he hit the 3 at the end of the first half at the buzzer, banking it a triple. He's got 28 points. We've got a tie ball game again with 3 minutes to go. Timer at 8 for the Wildcats. Alkins off the Ristic screen. Back to Ristic. Short. Ayton's tip is good though. 24 for Ayton to go with 15 rebounds. Look at Sexton get to the rim. It wouldn't fall. Rebounded by Trier. Couple of Alabama players still down. Arizona with numbers. Pull up 3. Not there.
That is a great foul
By Herb Jones. It will send Ayton to the line. That's 4 on Jones.
That is a brilliant play by Herb Jones. If you're ever going to take one, that was the one to take. You had 2 guys out of the play. You knew you were at a disadvantage right there. You've got DeAndre Ayton on your back. Wrap your hand around him, push him back, make sure you're not hurting him, you're not stepping underneath him. But that was a well-orchestrated foul.
He's just 3 of 6 at the line tonight. DeAndre Ayton, who matched his Well, he got a rebound on the defensive end, so now he's got a career high 16 rebounds. 3 of 7 at the line tonight. Again, this is a guy that shoots around 72% at the foul line. From the Bahamas, moved to San Diego when he was in his early teens, and then eventually to Phoenix.
You mentioned what he shoots at the free throw line is 72%. You know what he shoots from about 2 feet away? 100%.
Yeah. Now the second one.
Great foul. Take the split.
Right, exactly.
1 for 2, you're feeling good.
3-point lead for Arizona. And Avery Johnson going to call a timeout. That will leave the Tide with 1. Arizona has 2 remaining with 2:19 to go.
To me, there is no doubt, if you're Avery Johnson, what you're drawing up right now. You're going to be ultra aggressive, utilizing your on-ball screens to get Colin Sexton downhill. Then trust that he will make the right read, and he's done it multiple times tonight, whether it's scoring, getting to the free throw line, or kicking out to shooters. Now, the assist numbers aren't that high overall for Colin Sexton tonight, but he's so good at seeing and reading the floor. I mean, that split on that double on the hard show on the on-ball screen, you don't see a lot of guards that are able to do that. He can quickly elevate up over the top if you lay off of him. So it's really difficult to stop a player when, if you come up on him, he's going to beat you off the bounce. If you step off of him, he's got the ability to knock down the three-point shot, and that's what Colin Sexton brings. He brings the same kind of intangibles and the ability to score as a DeAndre Ayton does.
And Sean, look, they went back to Jackson Cartwright with Trier having 4 fouls to guard Sexton. Only 1 assist for Sexton in the game. Oh, Ristich definitely fouling Hall that time. And so Hall will go to the free throw line. Ristich committing just his first personal.
I have no idea why he was doing that. I mean, he literally just kept running into him, trying to knock him over.
And Dante Hall, a 68% free throw shooter this year. As a freshman 2 years ago, he shot 43%. He's really worked on his offensive game, and he's really had a nice contest tonight. And you can see the improvement there on just how the shot looks and the rotation and everything. So when you have a player that's that big, and a lot of these guys come to college, they think I'm going to be here quickly and I'm going to the pros. This is the benefit of a guy staying and improving, although he missed the second one. But it's night and day him from a couple years ago. 2-point lead for Arizona with possession, 2-minute mark. Ayton thought about the jumper there, elected not to take it. Now he will, and he hits it to make it a 4-point game.
The maturity to turn down a shot and have the faith and trust in your teammate that they're going to get it back to you.
Petty for 3, way off the mark.
The last 2 possessions, Colin Sexton hasn't really been part of the offense. I think that is a major mistake for Alabama.
It'll be Trier against Petty. Here comes the Ayton screen. Ayton just inside the elbow, back-to-back jumpers, 29 points, a career high for the freshman DeAndre Ayton. So personal highs in points and rebounds for a guy that the sky's the limit.
Well, we came into this game talking about the stars, the guys that were the top 10 prospects for next year's NBA draft, and Sexton and Ayton. The difference in the last minute and a half is Arizona got the ball to theirs, and Alabama's been too passive. Colin Sexton needs to go and be aggressive.
He dishes it out here. In and out on the 3. Rebounded by Ristich, and a foul call.
I like that decision, though, by Sexton. Get him downhill, force the defense. You're kicking out to a wide-open 3-point shooter. You've got to have faith in your teammate that they're going to knock it down.
And Ingram, prior to that, was 1 of 2 from 3-point land, but 4 of 14 now on the year. And Ristich, who's shooting around 90% at the line this year, will get 2 free throws to try to extend the lead to 8. Arizona as a team has been poor at the foul line. They've missed 11 free throws, and they still have a lead over a good team.
A big week, though, for Arizona. You think about going back to that win over Texas A&M. And here they are now, 50 seconds away. They have their biggest lead of this half, and it's 7.
Biggest lead of the half for Arizona. Alabama with just 1 timeout left. You would imagine the Tide would look to hoist a 3 here. And again, Jackson Cartwright has done a really good job on Colin Sexton. Sexton trying to create some room to shoot. It's not there. Norris cans a 3 to make it a 4-point game. And they foul Trier, and that's 4 on Sexton. Trier is 11 of 12 at the line tonight. 2 free throws coming up. All right, so now that you've had a chance to kind of evaluate both teams, you're going to see Alabama a bunch. This first time you've seen both these teams in person. How do you feel about each team's chances of not only making the tournament, but doing something in the tournament?
Well, I think Arizona is still the best team in the Pac-12. And I know the people up in Phoenix might not like hearing that, but I don't know how Arizona State's going to try to stop DeAndre Ayton. I don't know how anybody in the conference is going to try to stop him. And as they get Elkins back into the mix and get him back to 100% with the talent that they have and the experience that some of these freshmen have, I think Arizona is going to win the Pac-12 title, and that obviously will give them a great opportunity to advance. I think they're a top 15 team right now, should be a top 10 team by the end of the year. I think for Alabama, they're a top 25 team that's going to be a top 5 finisher in a very competitive SEC. And it's tough to gauge how good Alabama's going to be when Braxton Key is still on the bench and hasn't played this season.
Yeah, that's 12 points and 6 rebounds that you don't have right now.
And a very good defensive player and experience that in these type of situations on the road, you'd like to lean on a guy like Braxton Key.
Ira Lee picked up the foul. That's his 4th, and so a chance here for Sexton to make free throws and get him a 1-possession game with a clock stop. 19.8 remaining. 14 of 15 at the foul line, 29 points. So the 2 freshmen we highlighted at the top of the telecast, each with 29 points in the game.
They're special talents. We all talk about the one and done and how it affects the game and what these guys just celebrate while they're here. Enjoy it. Sit back and relax and go, man, this is fun to watch because I'm having a great time sitting right here watching these 2 go at it.
30 for Sexton, 3-point game. They'll try to get the steal, and if not, commit the foul immediately. Ooh, looked like Trier may have shoved Sexton that time, trying to get free. They double Trier, and a foul is called by Jones. There was a little contact as Trier was trying to get open. Don't know if it was Sexton trying to sell it or if Trier did extend. As it is, they get Jones for the foul, his 5th, and Trier will be at the line, where he is 12 of 14 tonight.
Here's one of the things I really like. Okay, you have a player foul out of the game, and guess what? Get in the game. No more of this timeout by the coaches. Draw up a play on the clipboard. Utilize as an extra timeout. Keep the rhythm, keep the flow of the game going.
Well, you made the point, Sean, about 5 minutes into the second half when Trier had just 1 or 2 field goal attempts that he needed to be more aggressive. Arizona's going to win this game, and he turned it on.
A huge second half for Trier. And he continues to be just so clutch at the free throw line.
Well, he's only got 6 official field goal attempts, so that's because he keeps getting fouled. He had just 1 in the first half, 5 points, and has 19 points here in the second half. And the lead is back to 5 for the Wildcats. And Alabama will call its final timeout.
You're Avery Johnson here. You want to get the ball in the hand of Colin Sexton. You want to look to attack, try to get back to the free throw line or get something at the cup. And we mentioned it, the two guys we've been talking about all night long. We started the broadcast telling you these are two of the very best and most talented players in the country. And when you look at these numbers, you don't have to think real hard to figure out why. And Sexton, his ability to get to the free throw line and convert tonight has been outstanding. And then DeAndre Ayton, the 18 rebounds. And a lot of those coming. Remember, he didn't have a rebound for the first 8 minutes of the second half. All 9 of those rebounds have come in the last 12 minutes.
Ayton with 29, Sexton with 30, and Trier with 25. And Arizona holds its shoot around about 4 hours or so, 4 to 5 hours before game time. So they were shooting around until about 3:45. Alonzo Trier in between when the players normally get here about 90 minutes before. And the end of shoot around was actually here shooting free throws about 3 hours before game time. And he's already an excellent free throw shooter, around 80%. And he's been terrific tonight, 14 of 16.
So are you insinuating that practicing something might help make you better at it?
Well, Trier last year is almost like a lost season, right?
Yep.
With the 19 games that he missed because of the PED suspension. He came back, and it just seemed like Arizona never could get in sync, and they bowed out in the Sweet 16 last year, when a lot of people thought it was their year because they were in the West and everything was lined up for them to make the Final Four run for the first time under Sean Miller. Three off the mark, and Alkins collides with Sexton, and it's a foul on Sexton. He is done for the night. But he leaves with a 30-point performance.
A great individual performance, and I thought actually his decision making here in the last couple of minutes as far as kicking out the shooters was well played. That was an aggressive foul trying to regain a possession for his team. Colin Sexton put on a show tonight. Alabama's going to continue to get better as the season goes along and as Braxton Key gets healthy. They're going to beat some people in the SEC. There's no doubt about that. I mentioned it earlier in the half. Arkansas's big win against number 14 Minnesota today. Another quality non-conference victory for the SEC that has improved its standing on the national landscape. And while the Pac-12 is looking for quality wins, Arizona found 2 of them this week.
Yes, at A&M on Tuesday. This one here, you had Washington knock off Kansas. Arizona State goes into Lawrence tomorrow, see how they fare.
And they beat St. John's last night inside the Staples Center, neutral floor game. Pac-12, they've got to make up for lost time in November, but they've got a chance. Cal today beat San Diego State, and if you look at Cal, trying to figure out their season, it's really hard. And I don't anticipate that they're going to get better as the year goes on.
Well, Arizona again has a week off until they play New Mexico. And then they have Connecticut, a game that's on ESPN2. And then they open up against Arizona State on December 30th.
And then a trip to Utah. The Utes always difficult on that road trip when you think about that. Utah at Colorado on that Thursday, Saturday tilt that the Pac-12 has played for so long.
Norris's 3 off the top of the backboard. Arizona will get possession with 0.8 of a second to go. And the Wildcats, since losing 3 in a row, have won 4 straight.
DeAndre Ayton is special, partner. Colin Sexton is as well, but I don't think there's anybody in the country that can slow down Ayton. He just continues to get better and better every time he takes the floor.
18 rebounds and 29 points for DeAndre Ayton, an 88-82 win for Arizona. For Sean Farnham, I'm Dave Pasch. So long from Tucson.